Hey, yes or no? Why would anybody even think about buying a 12-year-old camera in this day and age? Well, I just did. Yeah, so I hope you're doing good. I'm doing great as always. And like I just said, I picked up a 12-year-old camera, FujiFilm X10, beautiful little camera here. And I just thought I'd make a video telling you guys why would I, if anybody at all, would ever in this day and age pick up a 12-year-old camera. So ever since back in 2004, when I dropped my first point and shoot kind of digital camera, the Canon S45, I dropped it in the ocean one day when we were out on a sea voyage in Victoria. Ever since that day, I've been basically using the best camera that I could possibly buy. After I dropped the Canon camera into the ocean, I picked up the Nikon D70 and I used it for a long time, and it was considered a really good camera at the time. Looking back through my photography career, using the best camera at the time, it's always been really good for me. I've always been able to produce the best images, the sharpest images at the time, and really, as a professional photographer, isn't that what we all want, what we're all striving for? So currently I use a Nikon Z9 for my professional work. It's what I'm shooting this video on right now actually, and it's a beast of a camera and I love using it for work. It's an amazing camera, does everything I need it to do, and it just works great. But saying that, over the last few years, I've gotten that itch to get back to that point and shoot, simplistic time of using that Canon S45. I really enjoy the simplicity of it, and just having that in my pocket at all times was really fun. And if you've seen my videos, then you noticed that last year, at the end of the year, I was able to test out the FujiFilm X100V, which is an amazing little camera. It was really fun. I only got to use it for a few days, and I had to give it back to my friend, but that kind of instilled that itch in me to kind of look at something like that. So ever since then, I've been looking online, searching for what's good, and just trying to figure out what camera would best suit me in how I work and my budget and things like that. And like I said, I've recently picked up the FujiFilm X10. It was released in October of 2011, and I've been playing with it the last few days, the last week or so actually, and it's been really fun. It's a really neat little camera, and there's a lot of really good points about using this kind of camera in your everyday shooting. So what is more important really that I want to talk about is not the what, like the physical thing that I picked up, which just happened to be the FujiFilm X10, but it's more the why. Like, why did I feel like, I have the Z9 in my bag, I have 6 or 7 of the best lenses for Nikon readily available anytime I want to rush out in the street and do photography. So if I have like thousands of dollars of really good professional equipment, why would I go and spend like $300 or $400 on a 12-year-old camera? It just doesn't really intuitively make a lot of sense, but there are several reasons as why I thought this would be a good idea for myself, and it could be a good idea for you as well if you're in the same position that I am. So like way back in the day when I lived in Victoria and Vancouver, and even when I lived in Kyoto, I used to spend hours upon hours of just wandering the city with my camera, taking street shots, taking snapshots, exploring locations, finding new places, going on adventures, and meeting new people, and I absolutely loved it, and it was something I really looked forward to during the week while I was working. But as you get older, as photography became my profession, this whole feeling of, like in Japanese, this mendokusai, like this pain in the butt, of dragging my giant camera bag out with me into the street, taking it all over the place, this huge weight with me when I'm traveling, and that was just kind of mendokusai. It was a pain in the butt. It's kind of a pain to carry around a giant camera like the Z9. It's a beast, to be honest with you. I'm not a small guy in any means, but after a full day of walking, like I would walk 8-9 hours in Vancouver. After a full day of that, your whole body is just sore, and it's just not much fun anymore when I'm 45 this year. So I kind of drifted away from that style of photography for the last little bit. But I still love photography. I still love shooting, and with something like the the FujiFilm X10, it's just something I can toss in my pocket, throw around my neck, and absolutely forget that I even have on me half the time because it's so light, so compact, and it just makes going out in the street that much easier for me, that less of a burden to go out in the street and shoot street photography, or just have on me on my everyday, take it on the train, take it down to the beach and stuff like that. And it's been a lot of fun just to have it with me at all times. And this took away that whole mendokusai feeling, that whole pain in the butt feeling that I had with considering my Z9 or other, my D5 and stuff like that. It just takes away that whole burden there of taking out the camera, and I find I have it on me much more often now. So another reason why I wanted to pick up a camera like this is just to simply, simplify my shooting style and my shooting approach when out in the street doing street photography in Tokyo or maybe Kyoto or other cities around Japan. So if I was to take out my everyday professional full camera bag of equipment and things like that into the street, sure, I'd have a lot of lenses to choose from, a lot of different things I could do, I could play around a lot. But in my heart, that kind of just turned into more of a burden than a bonus when I was shooting street photography. And I just really wanted to simplify everything that I could do when I was shooting. Having all of the choices in the world is sometimes not the best thing when you're out doing photography in the street. It can actually, too many choices can make you second guess yourself. Say you have a 50 mil on your camera and you're walking down the street and you see something far away and like, oh, that'd be awesome if I had my 200 mil on here. So you take the time to put your bag down, pull out your lens, change lenses, pick it back up, and now a cloud's come and the light's gone, or that person that you saw down there has just moved on and stuff like that. So you're missing those moments and those situations where you're like changing lenses and changing gear and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of like it puts an added burden and an added pressure on you when you're shooting, I find. I think in the end, for what I'm doing, having a more simplified and you're a little bit more forced to be creative with what you're having is a good thing in the end. And this camera, especially the Fujifilm X10, it has a 28 to 112 focal length lens on it. In my previous video, I mentioned how the X100V only has a 35mm lens, and it was an amazing lens, and it's a really nice camera. But I think for a lot of people, having this kind of zoom lens on your camera is also really, really helpful. And I've been using it a lot when I'm out shooting. So this 24 to 112 lens on here really helps me eliminate the need for all these other lenses that I have, and it's been a lot of fun. Now, a third reason I wanted to pick up a camera like this was just simply to make photography fun again, just so I could get out and actually enjoy the process of shooting again. Don't get me wrong, I love my job, I love being a professional photographer, I would shoot every day if there was someone that needed me out there. But this whole Mendokzai notion that I mentioned before is really kind of taking the fun out of photography for me in my spare time. But I do really love photography, and I really wanted to get something that would really get me back into that simple joy of just getting out and taking pictures as much as I can. And if I'm using my workhorse camera every day just for fun, taking it out in the street and things like that, and something does happen to it, maybe I drop it, maybe I lose my bag, maybe heaven forbid it gets stolen, then what am I going to do? I can't just go out and replace a Z9 just like that. I wish I could, but that's just not possible. For these kind of fun shoots and things like that, and just to keep kind of the pressure off of myself and really just let me enjoy it as well, having a smaller, cheaper camera like this is actually really, really beneficial for me, especially. I don't want to ever lose this, I don't want to ever break it, but if I do drop it, or it does get stolen, or maybe I forget it on a train when I'm rushing to get off because I fell asleep before my stop. If it was a Z9, I honestly don't know what I would do. That's my bread and butter right there. That's just like an F1 driver went and got their F1 car stolen. What are they going to do now, right? So as get a bit of a backup and just to take the pressure off. If I lose this, it's not the end of the world, but I still get to get out and have really good pictures and have a lot of fun with it. Also, just the simplicity of shooting with this kind of camera has been really, really fun and freeing as well. With my Nikon Z9, I'm really always worried about the aperture because of the bokeh and all that kind of stuff, shooting at 1.4 and everything. But honestly, at a camera like this, I don't really see a huge difference between 2.8 and 4.5 and this kind of a camera with the smaller lens and the smaller sensor in that. It's not the most, technically in 2023, the most beautiful image that's coming out. There's going to be some little bit of graininess. There's going to be some noise in the image already, so I really don't care if I have to pump up the ISO. It adds that film look to it anyways. A lot of these things where I'm shooting just for myself and not worried about having the most immaculate image possible is really freeing, and I can just have fun, find light, find shadows, look for cool people hanging out, look for cool moments, and just try to capture them and enjoy that whole process of photography more, and not all the technical parts, because I'm never a technical photographer and I don't want to get wrapped up in that more than I need to. So it's just been, again, I've said it many times, but it's just been really freeing, and it's brought me back to that whole the joy of photography, which honestly was kind of missing in some parts of my life when I was shooting, especially in my free time. So thank you. And lastly, cameras like this are a real conversation starter. Here in Tokyo, I was out shooting the other day and I just had this on the table when I was having a coffee. The waitress mentioned it and we started chatting and it brought up a conversation. I love talking to people about photography, but I don't want to just be screaming at people hey, I'm a photographer, listen to me. Kind of what you do on YouTube, but getting a camera like this is not only helpful for photography in general, but it's a really, like I said, a good conversation starter. You have it around your neck. Someone sees it, hey, that's a neat camera, that looks really cool, what is that? And then you start talking and it opens up a conversation. So far, people have been really kind of excited to see it, and they really want to learn about it. So it's neat. I love talking about photography, so it's been a lot of fun. So, in the end, I'm super happy about finding a camera that has all the kind of functions, like a zoom lens, and I can shoot RAWs with this. It shoots videos. It's small and compact enough that I can stick it in my pocket, put it around my neck, and just go out and not worry about it so much, be kind of incognito when shooting because people don't really notice it that much as well, and just have fun. Because photography is supposed to be fun. Really, if you're not having fun, I don't know what you're doing out here. So yeah, that's my take on why I picked up a 12-year-old camera. If you have any questions or comments in general about photography, about this, the X10 or anything like that, hit me up down below. Really liking the support lately, guys. Thanks a lot. Tons of support. And yeah, subscribe and all that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you soon. I got some videos coming out using this camera in the next day or two, so hopefully you like those as well. So cheers. Check them out. Thanks.